Hello and welcome back to Wolfquest. My name is Frosty and today we are finally going to see Ateru's two pups, of litter two anyway, all grown up. So just to start us off here, I have Ateru all set up in her little wolf customization. Before we really dive into it, I just want to note I haven't seen any comments specifically about traits for either of the two pups. So I'm going to kind of make up my own story for both of them, and we'll go over their bios at the end or during their showcase. But if there's anything you think I missed or is inaccurate, please let me know and I can update their bios. Also, as just a little bit of a hint here, I think we're also going to vote and see which pup of Ateru's is everybody's favorite, because that may or may not have a role to play when it comes to the rest of the saga. So I'm hoping that one of the pups or both of the pups is going to be in this unlockable set. I have not gotten a single NPC coat for all of the time I played in this game, so I'd like to think that we'll get there. But for Ateru, here she is. Her mate for litter 2 was Bearbite. And we had Shimmer and Aspen, Shimmer being our slightly bigger boy. Despite that, his strength is -1 and his stamina is 1. Aspen, on the other hand, had strength -2, but stamina and speed both 1. It looks like Bearbite had strength -1, but stamina 2 and health -1. So they seem to have really picked that up from Bearbite more than anybody, obviously. But I'm really glad they didn't inherit that negative health trait. But let's grow them up. And as per usual, I am making them both Iron Wolves because that's just how I roll. Alright, first things first, here's first glance at Shimmer. He definitely kept that golden coloration. So Shimmer ended up with the original coat. Looks like it's the fourth one in, kind of blonde with brown stripe. The really cool part about this is I think this is the exact same coat I gave Ateru's mother. So honestly, that's really cool that it kind of came back around full circle there and he kept that golden trait of the Sunfang pack. So his genetic coat color is gray. There's where his tints and overlays lie. His eyes ended up being a pretty deep, rich amber too. He did not roll for any weird eye traits. Let's see what his howls are too. That first one is really deep and haunting. The second one may be anything but. Let's see. When it comes to torn ears and whatnot, looks like just a notched, or I guess that would be a torn right ear is the only thing that he rolled for. He did not roll for the collar. He has much smaller body mass, similar to Ateru. Cheek modifier is all the way up. He's got fluffy cheeks, so. No back curve. No weird things with his tail. At least not naturally. And it looks like no snaggle teeth either. His body size is on the smaller side, so that is definitely inherited from his mom. Here are his stats again. Obviously, we can't actually see how social, how not he is. Just based off of what I've seen, I think he's more social than most of Ateru's pups. Definitely somewhere in the middle between bold and cautious because he wasn't afraid to run off, but he would hesitate coming out of like the grass or the den at the beginning. Okay, it took me way too long to remember, but the traits are the bold, cautious, social loner, and energetic or lazy. So I already talked about the other two. I think of energetic versus lazy, I think Shimmer is kind of in the middle, leaning more towards energetic, like 70% energetic than anything. Just because he was really kind of stirring up trouble there at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and write up his bio. Alright, so here's a preliminary bio I made for Shimmer here. Shimmer was the older pup of only two, his close brother being Aspen. Shimmer is mostly bold when investigating, but he would be cautious enough to not dive in blindly. He is energetic, often going off on long runs, and is very playful. He is social with his brother Aspen, but strove to prove his independence to his mother Ateru. Shimmer's favorite games are to roll and chase. He'd not be likely to give up on a hunt or when driving away fleeing adversary easily. I thought that was kind of specific enough to give us an insight about his personality, but general enough that we would still have some wiggle room if we ever did play Shimmer. I also forgot to add in that he is a member of the Sunfang pack. So that is Shimmer. Let's see how Aspen grew up. Oh my gosh, he's so pretty. Oh, I love him. Here's Aspen. It looks like we rolled for the Black-tailed Deer Plateau pack, gray. So he actually ended up being a sandy brown gray wolf, which is probably what I would have expected Shimmer to actually have grown up as being. His genetic coat color is gray, and he has middling tints. Definitely leaning more towards lighter gray, though. I think what really drives home his beauty, though, are his light greenish eyes. It's just really, really pretty in that setting of that sandy brown and gray. He did not roll for any eye weirdness, which I think is nice because I would not want to be missing one of these gorgeous eyes. I'm a little sad we didn't end up unlocking one of the NPC codes. I can't really say I'm surprised, though. We only had 2 wolves to deal with after all. Let's go and listen to his howls. Okay, they're not the longest, they're not the shortest either, I don't think. I can only describe them as being kind of reflective. I don't know, it just leads me to think that Aspen is a little bit more of a thinker than anything, and I don't know what gives me that impression exactly. Maybe it's the tone of the howl? That's just what I'm thinking though. So when it comes to his ear modifications, it looks like he rolled to get a bent left ear. Yeah, bent left ear. Everything else seems to be mostly intact though. In terms of his body proportions, he has low body mass, high cheek fluff, no back curve. It doesn't look like he got anything with the tails. Maybe a slight tilt, but not enough to be noticeable. No snaggle teeth, and he's a little bit smaller than his brother Shimmer. But they are both collectively a little bit bigger than Ateru is. Once again, here are his stats. So, ranking what I've seen of him, I think he is, in terms of bold versus cautious, I think he's a little bit more cautious than what Shimmer was. He would also be a little bit less reluctant to get out of the grass first thing in the morning or out of the den. He usually wouldn't elicit play very far away. He'd follow Shimmer out there, but he wouldn't usually start it either. He'd be happy to finish it, he wouldn't start it. In terms of energetic versus laziness, I see him as being a little bit more lazy, I'll be honest. He would be a little bit more likely to hang back with Ateru and just kind of hang out in the center of the clearing. Obviously, he's got a little bit of energy to him because he would gladly go off and play too, but he was okay hanging back at home. In terms of social versus loner, I think he's probably somewhere in the middle. He would always be watching Ateru. He was a lot more involved in making sure he was seeing what she was doing and following in her paw steps. But he also didn't really seem to mind being on his own. If he was just kind of off in the corner chewing a bone, he'd be just as happy as if he was playing with Shimmer. So I think he's more social than not, but I don't think he's super extreme either way. Alright, so I think I touched on everything there, but I'm going to go ahead and write up his bio. Again, if you have any recommendations, I can add stuff in after the fact too. Alright, so for Aspen, I wrote that he is the youngest of only 2 pups, with his close brother being Shimmer. Aspen is more social than not, happily observing those around him and never turning his nose up at some fun. On the other hand, he is fine to be quietly reflective and chew on his thoughts if left to his own devices. Aspen is more lazy than energetic, preferring to stay easily within sight of home, but he will venture out if enticed. Aspen is more cautious than bold, preferring to wait for the right opportunities before acting. Aspen really enjoys chewing on different trophies, be it antlers or skulls or even a human artifact. He will not go out of his way to obtain any of these objects, but he would never turn his nose up at the chance to do so. He is also not picky about his food. His favorite emotes are to roll and avert his gaze. I think I got Aspen and Shimmer pretty well locked, if I'm being honest. And I also did try and include some innate challenges or quirks of their personalities if we ever were to play them in the future. Please let me know who your favorite pup has been, both in Litter 2 and Litter 1 with Ateru, because when the full saga comes out, we might just be making a story based off of one of those puppies. That way we can see their life basically from start to end. I think that'd be a really cool way to kind of bring the Sunfang pack around full circle from, a Coywolf ancestry to actually having descendants be back in a full wolf pack. Obviously, there's going to be some trials and tribulations along the way. There will be some growing pains. Some pups may not really survive or thrive in a pack. They are all Iron Wolves, so obviously anything can happen that can totally set off a chain of events. But just let me know your thoughts on that in general in terms of directions for where the series is going. I did put up a post about it, but in case you did not see, as Wolfquest as a whole is going to be getting put on the shelf for a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to be making a series on zoochosis, which is definitely a little bit different than what we've normally been doing on this channel. It's a little bit more of a mature game, body horror, all kinds of things, but I figured it fits the channel well enough, and honestly, I'd like to get into some other games. And for spooky season, it just seemed pretty fitting. So Wolfquest is going to get shelved for the meantime. We're going to play that at least for a little bit, and at that point, we're going to see where Wolfquest is at. If the new saga has not yet been released, then I'll go back to Ateru and we're going to try and get through Litter 3 in record time. And if the saga is out, then we're going to be taking one of Ateru's pups and growing them up and seeing what their life is like. So again, just let me know your favorite pup. There'll be another poll actually being put out closer to that time, so keep an eye out there too. And we'll see how their life progresses and what stories they have to tell. But thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you appreciate it and seeing the wolves all grown up. I always love to do so. So thank you again. But feel free to check out links in the description below to links to other social media if you feel so inclined to follow me over there. River is gonna throw a tantrum because I'm doing the outro. Thank you to Parental Unit for supporting the channel, as that support is greatly appreciated. But until next time, everybody, whenever that may be, stay safe, stay happy. I'll see you then, and bye.